The mistake is treating each housing crunch like a fresh accident. One year the story is too many buyers chasing too few listings. A few years later the story is landlords holding firm while everything else softens. Later still, the story is cranes everywhere and people still saying there is nowhere affordable to live. Those headlines feel unrelated. They are not. They are different costumes on the same sequence, and once you see the order, the next squeeze stops feeling like a surprise attack and starts looking like a rerun with new scenery. A housing squeeze is not simply high prices on a screen. It is a mismatch between how fast households need a place and how fast the physical housing system can produce one. Households can adjust quickly. People graduate, partner up, relocate for work, split households, or decide they cannot share a kitchen anymore. A city can absorb that demand shift in months. A new apartment building cannot. Land has to be entitled, financing has to commit, crews have to be scheduled, materials have to arrive, occupancy takes time. So the economy can want housing faster than housing can exist, and that gap is where the squeeze lives. Watch the pattern across cycles that look nothing alike on the surface. After a long stretch of calm, household formation accelerates. Young adults who delayed moving out finally do. Families want more space. Employers pull workers toward certain metros, listings shrink, bidding intensifies. The language of the moment always sounds unique, scarce inventory, fierce competition, a market that will not cool. However, the early phase is almost always the same story told with different nouns, more people needing doors than doors ready to open. The details change. The timing sequence does not. Every squeeze I have described follows 3 phases, and they almost never arrive in the order people expect. Phase 1 is demand running ahead of stock. Households move faster than builders can respond because building is slow and demand is emotional. Phase 2 is financing tightening while households are still searching. Lending standards stiffen, appraisals turn conservative, and monthly payments stop cooperating even when a buyer is willing. Phase 3 is supply finally showing up, permits turning into frames turning into keys long after the first pressure wave. The mechanism is a pipeline with a delay built into the physics of construction, not a conspiracy and not a single policy switch. Here is why the pattern keeps biting harder each time it returns. During Phase 1, prices and rents find a new level because the marginal buyer or renter still needs a roof. During Phase 2, the squeeze stops being about enthusiasm and starts being about access. People who could almost afford the prior level get filtered out. Roommates stay roommates longer. Families squeeze into fewer bedrooms. Commutes stretch because acceptable homes sit farther away. By Phase 3, cranes dominate the skyline and commentators declare that supply is the answer, which it is, except the answer is arriving on a lag measured in years, not weeks. The city gets taller while the household that needed relief already made a harder choice. The contrarian beat is this: building more eventually matters, but it rarely ends the squeeze on the schedule sufferers expect. New units can soften one segment. Luxury towers do not automatically become starter homes, while the pressure migrates. Older stock gets repriced upward because it is still scarce relative to the households left competing. Investors who can wait out the cycle buy time. Renters without a cushion buy anxiety. Even when supply expands, the distribution problem remains. The homes finishing today were planned under yesterday's financing and yesterday's land costs. The trade-off is between long-run correction and short-run pain, and the system is built to optimize the long run because buildings cannot be summoned overnight. Imagine a household that finally earns enough to leave a shared apartment. They start touring places in spring. Every showing has competition. By summer, lending conditions have tightened, so the payment on the same home no longer fits the budget. They renew a lease at a higher rate because the alternative is moving back in with family. 2 years later, their commute passes a block of newly finished units marketed to a different tier of buyer. Those units were not malice. They were Phase 3 arriving after Phase 1, and Phase 2 already reshaped that household's choices. The squeeze did not fail to resolve. It resolved on construction time, not human time. So the practical takeaway is to watch the sequence, not the headline of the week. When demand jumps first, the squeeze has already started even if prices still look tolerable to outsiders. When financing tightens second, the pain spreads from buyers to renters because the whole market reprices around scarcity. When supply arrives third, celebrate the pipeline, but do not confuse new towers with immediate relief for the households filtered out in Phase 2. The lesson is timing literacy. Housing crunches end, but they end on the calendar of cement, copper wire, and crews, not on the calendar of lease renewals and school start dates. The next time someone says this housing market is unlike anything before, ask which phase you are in. If households are still moving faster than keys are changing hands, you are early. If monthly payments and approvals are doing the filtering, you are in the middle. If cranes are multiplying while people still say there is nowhere to go, you are watching the lag reveal itself. The mistake was believing each crunch was a one-off emergency. The pattern was always sequential: demand, then finance, then supply, always out of sync. Recognize the script, and the squeeze stops looking random. It starts looking like a system doing what it has done before on the same slow clock.